Huge treasure trove discovered by hikers in Czech mountainside. Was it possibly hidden from Nazi invaders? Let's deep dive.
Welcome to the deep dive. You send us fascinating stuff, and we dive deep into it, pulling out the most interesting bits.
It's a great way to get up to speed quickly.
Exactly. Today, we've got some news reports sent in by one of you about a really big discovery in the Czech Republic. Our mission, basically, is to unpack this find. What's the story? What's the historical significance? We're looking at news articles, and the headline alone grabs you.
Oh, yeah. What is it?
Hidden from the Nazis, massive gold and jewelry hoard discovered in Czech mountains could be historic wartime treasure.
Wow. Okay, yeah. That definitely pulls you in, the whole mystery aspect.
Right, that idea of maybe finding a piece of a lost story.
Absolutely. A tangible link to such a, painful and significant time. It's instantly gripping.
Okay, let's start with the basics. The discovery itself, where in the Czech Republic did this happen, and when?
So the reports say the Podkrkonoší mountains. That's in the northeast of the country.
Okay.
And it happened this year, back in February.
February. And this wasn't some official archaeological dig, right?
Yeah.
It sounds like it was just luck.
Pure chance, exactly. The articles mentioned a couple of hikers. They went a bit off the trail, and they just stumbled upon this aluminum canister partially sticking out of the ground. History just pops up sometimes.
Amazing. So they find this canister. What was inside? What made everyone go, wow?
Okay, inside that canister, 598 gold coins.
598, almost 600.
Yep. And what's really striking is how carefully they were packed, sorted into 11 columns.
Wow.
And each column was wrapped up in black cloth. Very meticulous.
That kind of care. It suggests someone really valued this, right?
Yeah.
And planned to hide it properly, not just to see it.
Definitely. It points towards intentional hiding, hoping maybe to retrieve it later.
Incredible. But wait, wasn't there more? Something about another box nearby?
Yes, good point. Very close by, they also found an iron box.
Okay.
And this one had, the reports call it a lavish assortment of valuables.
Lavish. Okay, like,
Things like, 16 snuff boxes, 10 bracelets, a comb, a chain, a powder compact, and even a rare wire purse.
a wire purse. You don't see those often. And the materials, mostly gold and silver.
Yeah, the initial reports say primarily gold and silver, precious metals. They'll do more detailed analysis, I'm sure, but the amount of gold is, it's what's making headlines.
And it wasn't just a few trinkets. What was the total weight?
Together, everything weighed around 15.4 pounds. That's about 7 kilograms.
7 kilos. That's substantial.
It really is a serious amount of precious metal.
Did they put a monetary value on it? I think I saw a number.
They did. The initial estimate is over 250,000 pounds. So about 7.5 million Czech crowns.
Okay.
But, and this is the key point everyone's making, the historical value is potentially, they're calling it incalculable.
Right. Because you can price the gold, but you can't price the history it might unlock.
Exactly. The context is priceless here.
So this happened back in February, you said, but we're only hearing about it now. Why the delay?
Good question. The museum authorities, they held back the news intentionally.
Ah.
A couple of reasons. One, it gave them time for some initial research, get a first look.
Makes sense.
And two, probably more important, it let them secure the site, protect it. You announce a find like this immediately and, you can imagine the chaos.
Oh, absolutely. Treasure hunters, site damage. Yeah, you need to protect it and let the experts work.
Right.
Speaking of experts, there's that quote from Miroslav Novak, the head of archaeology over there. What did he say when he saw it?
Yeah. He said he got the call, someone found something, and then his words were, when he opened it, my jaw dropped.
Huh. From a professional archaeologist, that says a lot.
It really does. Underscores just how extraordinary this discovery is.
Okay, so incredible find. The next big question, obviously, is where did it come from? Why was it buried there? What are the main ideas?
Well, the news articles are focusing on two main theories, both tied to that really turbulent period in the 20th century.
Okay.
The first one centers around the Nazi occupation.
Right. Let's unpack that a bit. What's the context there?
So you have Hitler annexing the Sudetenland in 1938. That's the border region of Czechoslovakia. And that caused just massive upheaval. Over 200,000 Czechs fled, many Jewish people too, trying to get away from the Nazis, heading to safer areas.
So the idea is someone fleeing that terror might have buried their valuables, like a desperate act, hoping they could come back for them one day.
Exactly that. Fear, but also maybe a little bit of hope. Hiding valuables was a way to try and keep them safe from confiscation when everything else was uncertain.
It's a powerful image. What's the other main theory?
The second one relates to the period just after World War II, the expulsion of ethnic Germans.
Ah, right, after the war.
Yes. Under Soviet influence, many Germans living in Czechoslovakia were forcibly expelled, driven out.
So how does that connect to the treasure?
The thinking is, these Germans facing forced displacement, maybe fearing reprisals, they might have hidden their belongings before they were forced to leave.
Again, hoping maybe to return, or maybe for someone else to find it for them later.
Possibly. Either way, it's about hiding things during a time of intense fear and forced movement.
So, two really traumatic moments in history. Someone fleeing the Nazis or someone being expelled after the war. It really hits home the personal cost of these huge events.
It absolutely does. And the museum director, Pitcher Grulich, he put it quite well. He said something like, it's difficult to determine whether this treasure belonged to a Czech escaping the Nazis in 1938, a German fearing displacement after 1945, or if it is Jewish property.
A difficult puzzle. He mentioned another possibility too, didn't he? Something about an antique shop.
Yeah, he mentioned it could have been stolen from an antique shop, but apparently the museum thinks that's less likely, just given everything else.
Right. The context points more strongly to those periods of major upheaval. Okay, now let's talk about the coins themselves. There was some really interesting analysis done, wasn't there?
Oh, definitely. The coin expert, Voice Brodel,
Yeah.
he did a numismatic analysis and turned up some surprises.
Like what?
Well, first, the coins themselves date from 1808 to 1915. So the Austria-Hungary era, Emperor Franz Joseph I.
So they were already old, even when they were hidden.
Exactly. Pieces of history already. But the surprise was about their journey.
Their journey? What do you mean?
It seems these coins didn't just go from, say, Vienna straight to Bohemia, where they were found. The evidence suggests they spent time in the Balkans.
The Balkans? Really? How do they know that?
After World War I, the Austro-Hungarian Empire collapsed, right? And the kingdom of Serbs, Croats, and Slovenes was formed. Well, these specific coins have countermarks on them. They were basically re-stamped, officially marked by this new Balkan kingdom. And those marks were used right up into the 1930s.
Wow. So these Austrian coins traveled south, got officially marked in the Balkans, and then somehow made their way back up to eastern Bohemia to be hidden.
That's the implication, yeah. It adds a whole other layer to their story, how they got back, when exactly. That's still a mystery.
Yeah.
But it shows they circulated widely.
That's fascinating. It really expands the potential story. Wasn't there something else, too, about physical signs on the coins? How they might have been used?
Yes, some of them show wear patterns, suggesting they might have been sewn onto clothing or maybe part of necklaces or traditional Balkan headdresses.
Ah, so not just currency, but maybe worn as decoration or status symbols, too.
Quite possibly. It gives you a real sense of their varied life
Yeah.
before they ended up in that canister. You can almost picture them moving across borders, being used in different ways.
It really makes you think about the object's own history, separate from just being money. So, stepping back, looking at the whole picture, what's the real importance of this find? Why does it matter so much?
I think the real significance is its potential to shed light on a very human story from a devastating time. It's a concrete link to the experiences of individuals caught up in the Nazi occupation or the post-war expulsions.
It makes history feel very personal, doesn't it?
Absolutely. It reminds us that these huge historical events were made up of millions of individual lives, choices, fears, hopes. This hoard is a testament to that.
And there's still hope, maybe, that they could identify the original owner or their family.
That's certainly the goal, the dream, I suppose. More research on the items, maybe cross-referencing with records, family histories. It's possible, even after nearly a century, that a connection could be made.
Imagine that, finding out whose story this really is.
It would be incredible. So, yes, the monetary value is high, but like we said, it's the human story, the historical context, that makes this truly invaluable.
So just to kind of wrap up our dive here, an amazing discovery. Gold coins, jewelry hidden in the Czech mountains.
Yep.
Likely buried during the Nazi era or the post-war German expulsions. Two incredibly turbulent times.
Right.
And those coins, having this surprising journey through the Balkans adds this whole other layer of mystery and history.
It definitely complicates the narrative in a fascinating way.
It's a find with, as you said, incalculable historical value, way beyond the price tag on the gold.
It really is. It's a window into lives lived under extreme pressure, making desperate choices.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? about all the other stories potentially still hidden out there across Europe, around the world. What other personal histories are tied up in objects buried or lost during times of chaos? Makes you look at ordinary things differently, maybe as silent witnesses to history. Something to ponder. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Comment your thoughts on this huge discovery. Thanks.